History isn't just in books or monuments, it's in the stories we tell, carved into stone and pressed into clay. Myths and legends, often dismissed as fantasy, may hold echoes of forgotten realities. To understand our past, we must listen to these ancient whispers and challenge what we think we know. The Anunnaki myth is one such story, often misunderstood, but rooted in the fertile soil of ancient Mesopotamia. Popular culture paints the Anunnaki as alien overlords, but the truth is far more complex. To uncover it, we must journey back to Sumer, where humans first captured their stories in clay. Here, in the world's first written texts, we find the real origins of the Anunnaki. Let's begin our search in the land between two rivers. The idea of the Anunnaki as ancient astronauts is captivating, but it's a modern invention. Ancient Sumerian tablets tell a different story, one of gods, not extraterrestrials. The Sumerians wrote about their world in detail, from trade to law to epic poetry. Their Anunnaki were divine beings, not visitors from space. Modern theories often mistranslate words, turning heaven into outer space and gods into aliens. The Sumerian word dingir simply means god, not rocket ship. The real story is about belief, not technology. To the Sumerians, the Anunnaki were the forces of nature and justice, deeply woven into daily life. They demanded worship, shaped fate, and embodied the mysteries of existence. Understanding them means seeing through ancient eyes, not modern science fiction. Let's set aside the alien narrative and explore the true meaning of the Anunnaki. Imagine a world before writing, a world where every law, every story, and every memory existed only in the minds of those who could remember them. There were no books, no records, and nothing written down to guide future generations. In this world, knowledge was passed from one person to another by word of mouth, around fires and in gatherings, where stories could change or be forgotten with each retelling. But in Sumer, around 3400 BC, something extraordinary happened. Writing was invented, and it changed everything about how people lived and remembered. What began as simple pictograms for counting goods and livestock soon evolved into cuneiform, a script capable of capturing not just numbers, but complex ideas, myths, and the very essence of Sumerian culture. For the first time in human history, beliefs, traditions, and stories could be preserved forever, etched into clay tablets that would outlast generations. The earliest texts from the great cities of Uruk, Ur, and Nippur mention the Anunnaki, not as mysterious aliens, but as powerful gods who shaped the cosmos and determined the fate of humanity. These stories explain the origins of the world, the order of the heavens, and humanity's place in the universe, giving people a sense of meaning and belonging. The Anunnaki were described as the children of Anu, the mighty sky god, a divine family whose decisions and actions shaped every aspect of life on Earth. To the Sumerians, the universe was governed by the will of the gods, not by physical laws or chance. Every event, from the movement of the stars to the fate of empires, was believed to be guided by divine intention. Floods, bountiful harvests, and even wars were seen as the direct work of the gods, their favor or anger shaping the destiny of the people. The Anunnaki formed a celestial council, ruling from the heavens, while humans served them through ritual, devotion, and offerings, hoping to earn their blessing. This worldview, carefully recorded in clay, became the very foundation of Mesopotamian society, influencing law, religion, and daily life for centuries to come. The real story of the Anunnaki is not a tale of extraterrestrials, but a story written in the dawn of civilization itself, a testament to humanity's earliest attempts to understand the world and their place within it. The Anunnaki were a complex pantheon of deities, deeply woven into the fabric of ancient Mesopotamian society. Their stories and roles reflected the intricate political and social structures of the earliest cities, where power was shared, negotiated, and sometimes contested among rulers and priests. At the head of this divine assembly stood Anu, the supreme god who ruled the heavens. His son Enlil, a powerful and sometimes fearsome figure, governed storms and granted the right to rule. Enki, the clever and compassionate god, was seen as the creator and protector of humanity, guiding people with wisdom and invention. The Anunnaki gathered in grand councils, where they debated, decreed fate, and managed the workings of the cosmos. These councils were not just myth, they mirrored the assemblies of earthly rulers, reinforcing the idea that order and justice flowed from the gods above. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the world's oldest stories, the gods decide the fate of humanity, echoing the new reality of city-state governance and the delicate balance between divine will and human ambition. The divine assembly of the Anunnaki was a celestial reflection of earthly councils and kings, reinforcing the legitimacy of rulers and the laws they enforced. In recent times, some have tried to reinterpret these ancient myths through the lens of modern alien theories. But these ideas strip away the rich cultural context and meaning that the Sumerians intended, reducing profound spiritual stories to mere science fiction. For the Sumerians, the Anunnaki were not literal rulers sitting on thrones, but powerful spiritual forces that shaped the world and guided humanity's destiny. The true power of the Anunnaki was their ability to grant legitimacy. They chose who would rule on earth, and their blessing was essential for any king to claim authority. Kingship was seen as a sacred gift, bestowed from the heavens, not something invented or seized by humans alone. This belief shaped the very foundation of Mesopotamian civilization. The Sumerian King List begins with the words, "After the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridu." This phrase captures the idea that all earthly power originated with the gods. In this worldview, power flowed from the gods to the king, and from the king to the people, not through conquest, but through divine favor and ritual. The Anunnaki were never described as alien overlords. Instead, they were revered as the ultimate source of authority, the invisible hand guiding the fate of nations. Their influence shaped not only the idea of kingship, but the very structure of society, law, and order in ancient Mesopotamia. This divine connection between gods and rulers would define Mesopotamian civilization for centuries, leaving a legacy that echoes through history. In Mesopotamia, kingship was a sacred trust, not just a political office. Rulers claimed authority as the chosen of the gods, especially in Lil. The king's duty was to maintain order, build temples, and perform rituals. In return, the gods granted prosperity and protection. Royal inscriptions emphasized the king's divine favor. He was called by name, or beloved of Inanna. The Sumerian King List blended myth and history, presenting kingship as an unbroken, divinely ordained chain. This narrative legitimized rulers and unified society. Ziggurats and rituals reinforced the king's sacred status. The king's authority was a mandate from heaven, not mere force. This belief shaped the structure of the state and the lives of its people. The divine right to rule became the cornerstone of Mesopotamian civilization. In the ancient world, kings did not just rule by force or law, they often claimed a connection to the divine itself. Some kings went even further, insisting that their very blood was touched by the gods, and that their right to rule was written in the stars. Gilgamesh, the legendary king of Uruk, stands as one of the earliest and most famous examples. According to ancient tales, he was said to be 2/3 god and only 1/3 man, a being set apart from ordinary mortals. His mother, the revered goddess Ninsun, was believed to have granted him not only immense strength and ambition, but also wisdom and a sense of destiny that surpassed all others. This myth transformed the king into a heroic figure, almost supernatural in his abilities and authority. He was seen as a bridge between the world of men and the realm of the gods. To challenge the king was to challenge the gods themselves, a dangerous act that could bring disaster upon the land and its people. Later rulers, such as Naram-Sin of Akkad, took this idea even further. They did not just claim divine ancestry, they declared themselves living gods, worthy of worship in their own right. Naram-Sin famously wore the horned helmet, a symbol reserved for deities, and boldly took the title God of Akkad, setting himself above all other mortals. This act of self-deification was more than just personal pride. It was a powerful political strategy, a form of royal propaganda that reinforced the king's absolute authority. By becoming a god, the king unified his empire under a single, divine ruler, demanding unwavering loyalty and obedience from his subjects. The king was no longer just the god's representative on earth. He was now counted among the gods themselves, sharing in their immortal power. This tradition of divine kingship would echo through the centuries, shaping the way rulers were seen and remembered across the ancient world. At the very top of society, the line between mortal and divine became blurred, as kings claimed a place among the gods themselves. The god-king became the ultimate symbol of power, authority, and the mysterious bond between humanity and the divine. Claiming divinity gave kings immense power, but also great risk. A god-king's authority depended on continued success and divine favor. Disasters, famine, plague, defeat, were seen as signs the king had lost the god's blessing. The story of Naram-Sin warns of this danger. After angering the gods, his reign ended in chaos and famine. Even the most powerful ruler was accountable to the cosmic order. Kings had to constantly prove their legitimacy through victories and rituals. Every failure threatened their claim to divinity. The divine link was a heavy burden, not just a privilege. The king's fate was inseparable from the fate of his people. Divine kingship was both a source of unity and a precarious balancing act. The idea of divine kingship spread far beyond Mesopotamia. In Egypt, pharaohs were living gods, incarnations of Horus and sons of Ra. The state revolved around the pharaoh's divinity, with pyramids as resurrection machines. In Rome, emperors were deified, uniting the empire through the imperial cult. In China, the emperor ruled under the mandate of heaven. His right to rule depended on justice and harmony. If disaster struck, it meant the mandate was lost and rebellion was justified. Across the world, from the Maya to medieval Europe, rulers claimed divine right. The gods' names changed, but the principle endured. Power needed a story. The Mesopotamian model became a blueprint for authority everywhere. Divine legitimacy shaped empires and societies for millennia. The Anunnaki myth isn't about aliens, it's about the birth of divine authority. The Sumerians created a system where rulers mirrored the gods, giving society order and meaning. This idea of legitimacy through narrative shaped civilizations across the globe. Today, we have new stories, democracy, law, the will of the people, but the need for legitimacy remains. Every society relies on a story to justify its power. The tale of the Anunnaki is a lesson in the enduring link between belief and authority. Power, ancient or modern, is built on the stories people accept as true. The gods' names may change, but the need for a legitimizing narrative endures. From clay tablets to modern institutions, the echoes of these ancient stories still shape our world. To rule is, and always has been, to tell a compelling story. The Anunnaki remind us, belief is the foundation of power.